So this is tricky for me because it depends on like what you're trying to accomplish. And I honestly have read so many coaching books I can't always remember them off the top of my head. A couple that I always recommend for like leadership. Okay, this one is very much for like head coaching leadership situations, but the extreme ownership and the dichotomy of leadership are two really good books. This is basically a series. I recommend these for like head coaches. Then there's a book called Peak. I think it's called The Science of Expertise. Peak, which I recommend. Science of Expertise. Oh, there's a text option. I forgot about this with Epic Pen Chat. Trying to think of any other ones that have really stood out to me so far. I think John Wooden has some great books as well. So John Wooden's a guy I really respect in terms of like his philosophy, but again, that's more like coaching than it is like head coaching stuff, but I really respect him. Another one I would consider looking into, and this is an unusual one. This one will challenge your ideas of like learning and stuff. So I'm not 100% sure of my opinion of this book, but I think it's very interesting. So Inner Game of Tennis is a good one as well. And then one that was actually really weird. But changed the way I looked, like not changed the way, but like encouraged me with my philosophy. And this is an unorthodox one, but this is one I enjoyed. It's called The Perfect Pass. Very American football oriented, but you're gonna find there's a lot of tidbits in there that you go, oh shoot, right? Highly recommend that one as well. Glad to hear you, Alexa. Glad to hear it. And just ask in Discord, yeah. Is that the one by Jocko Willink? Yeah. Are there any additions to the stream to be added from the suggestions that you have in Discord a while ago? Actually, yeah. Would you guys look to like to let's after this, let's look over the Discord, the Twitch feedback stuff. So these are some big ones I'd start with. There's a couple other like little minor ones, but I'd have to like actually like whip out my books, and I can't be bothered right now. But those are some big ones. I'm trying to put more time into Tracer recently. I know Tracer is a very flexible hero in her playstyle, which makes her super good, but this makes it more difficult to understand her job. I know her job is to deny angles, flank, and meet the throwing the enemy's back, but I struggle to find what's appropriate in a situation. I guess my option is how I don't want my job as Tracer to give the enemy comp and our team comp. Thank you for all your help. I'm 336. Basically, as Tracer, it's like you are permanently on an off angle, right? You are permanently surrounding the enemy team. That's it. That's it. You're permanently surrounding the enemy team. Don't worry so much about who or what or you need to be pressuring, so much as that you are pressuring at the same time as your team is doing something and you're doing so from a proper position. Tracer is profoundly simple hero. All you do is you position yourself properly and you time your engages properly, and then that's it. Now, target selection, like who you should be shooting, depends on the composition, and what positions are good positions depend on the enemy composition. But you're asking right now for me to basically to gift wrap an answer for you, and there is no gift wrap answer. The answer is too simple. I've just gift wrapped it to you. It's simultaneously like too simple for me to answer like that. It's also way too complicated because the individual matchups are something that I can't go over in detail. So what you need to do is to stop thinking about denying angles, stop thinking about, oh, I have to flank them and I have to be the thorn in the enemy's back. Like, just be on a flank. Be on an off angle, preferably as deep as you can, as deep as you safely can. Time your pressure with your team's pressure, and then don't worry about it anymore. And then you need to go into replays afterwards and you need to like look over every single map and be like, was I positioned properly? It's not complicated. It's just not complicated. It's difficult to apply it perfectly in game, but it's not difficult to understand. Outside of that, like, I'm not sure what to tell you. Get another review, or yeah, this is it's just, don't worry about, oh, my individual flexible playstyle. No, Tracer just plays on Ingles. That's it. And the difference between like having different playstyles as Tracer is because you're playing up against different compositions that demand you to play on Ingles a little bit differently. It's not complicated. That's kind of a cop-out answer, but there is no, this is an impossible question to answer. How do you teach high concentration levels and long official game and long scrim blocks? Sleep, breaks, changing my goals. So if you find yourself like autopiloting and like, okay, I can't do this anymore, I'm like losing focus, then take a break, get up, walk around, or do something different. Try work on something else for a change of pace, right? If you're working on like your positioning is on it for like 3 hours in a scrim block and you're like, then just go, hey, I'm not gonna worry about my positioning for a little bit. I'm just not gonna worry about my positioning. I'm just gonna tunnel my positioning. I'm gonna nail my nanos. Just mix it up a little bit. Keep yourself fresh. Keep yourself unfocused, or focused on something else. Faffer. I'm not supposed to answer questions. I'm supposed to ask questions. But I agree that it's a good book. What would you suggest having someone who's someone new to Overwatch focus on? Honestly, don't worry about focusing on something in particular. If they already found a couple of heroes that they like, just have them start practicing and thinking about like what their job is with those heroes and what they can be doing better. Don't try and like, I think it's better for until players like hit a wall or they struggle, is to just let them think and try and figure things out on their own. Like, don't even have them come to me. Just have them get better at the game until they've not gotten better. Like, let them keep thinking about like what they need to be doing better. Don't soil their new gumdrop understanding of the game by like making them think about too much. Just like let them, like if they're struggling with Ana, be like, all right, well, what should you, like, what could you be doing better with your Ana? What do you think? You know? But yeah, like if they're new to Overwatch, just let them grind, let them have fun, let them don't overburden them with like what do they need to improve on. Let them figure it out. For right now, anyway. Over the summer, you suggested coupling rather than supplementing Kovacs with Triad FFA. I did both and found a great increase. Okay. The other day you said don't do Kovacs, only Triad FFA. I don't. Yeah, it's totally fine. Kovacs is fine. I don't. Maybe I misspoke. I think Kovacs is mostly fine. Depends on the hero that you're playing it for. I think the thing that makes Kovacs okay is because Kovacs is more of a replicant of like it does a better job of replicating Overwatch feel, right? Which is why it's better, right? If it feels like Overwatch, it's good practice for Overwatch. If it doesn't feel like Overwatch, it's not a good practice for Overwatch, which is why so many other aim things like Osu and aim hero aren't very good. I may have misspoke. I still think Triad FFA is like the bread and butter, but Kovacs is fine. If I hop on for the day and realize my aim is bad, maybe off that day, should I change my playstyle to be less aggressive? Just do things that you normally do. Yeah, just do things that you normally do. Like, if you're... Yeah, you should just do things like you normally do. And if you have got stuff that you're working on anyway, then you shouldn't even be working... Like, unless you're working on being more aggressive, then just play the game. If you're working on your positioning or on your cooldown usage and on, like, your decision-making, then just play normally. And don't worry about your aggressive playstyle. Just play the game. When are the Spilo waifu bills available for purchase? I can't tell you. It'll be a special next week. Under the premise that I want to get good and climb the ladder, is it useful to understand the MMR system, how it works? No. Does the MMR system do a good job of matching equally split players? No idea. It doesn't stop people from getting better or climbing. What do you think about alt accounts smurfing? I mean, smurfing is stupid. Alt account placement can be scuffed, but doesn't affect, it's not something I can control, so I don't worry about it. Is it a good idea to duo trio 6-stack? No. Because then you're tying your improvement with rank to hoping that your teammates are as motivated as you are, right? Think of it this way. If you want, like, let's say it's for bench press, you had to collectively bench press with 2 other people. Let's say you're doing a 3-stack. You 2 plus 1 bench press, where all 3 of you guys lie on your back, get a bar on your chest, and you try and bench press as much weight as you can. And then you take the total amount and you divide it by 3, right? And what you guys are trying to do is trying to get that weight up. Get that weight up. Everybody's weight up. Everybody's weight up. Now, if you have good friends that you enjoy playing with, sure. But if you're trying to climb or trying to improve, I don't want to hope and rely on other people working as hard and as smart as I am, right? I might go home and do like a bunch of push-ups, more bench press training, get a lot of sleep, take supplements, you have a great diet, and then I show up the next day to do bench press, and it feels like we did like 1,000 pounds, or like, let's say we did like 800 pounds combined between the 3 of us, right? It's a lot of weight, okay? But then when the next week comes, we can only do 750, even though I felt like I did a stronger job, because my other 2 friends maybe just didn't grind as hard, or they weren't as focused today, or you know, they were. It was like, that sucks that you improved, but you're still losing games. I'm not tying my improvement to somebody else. I don't trust anybody else, right? If I wanted to do that, then I'd get into scrims, right? But if I'm getting into ranked, I want me to be the only thing that I have to rely on improving for me to climb. The only benefit of stacking is that you're more likely to have good planning, right? In other words, you're more likely to be in sync with what's happening. But you also have to keep in mind that the enemy team is also likely to be planning as well, because they also have stacks. So your net takeaway is that you're still not better than the enemy team. It might be more enjoyable because you're playing with friends, or there's a little less RNG with having bad teammates for the enemies than you. But if it's coming to raw improvement, unless you're the type of person who gets tilted easily, then stacking is worthless. I mean, if having consistent performances is what motivates you to improve and keeps you motivated to improve, then sure. But it's not an advantage at all. It just keeps you focused more. That's all. It's like a placebo. It's like when batters go up and they tap the plates on all 4 corners with the baseball bat before they take a swing. Does it help them hit the ball better? No. But if it gets their mental in the right place so that they hit the ball better, sure. In which case, keep hitting the baseball, keep hitting the base, but at the same time, I'm not going to encourage other players to learn how to hit the baseball bat on the base. It's meaningless. That one person might need it because they have a hard time focusing, but it doesn't do anything. When playing Tracer, I feel like I either hit all my shots, die less, blink properly, win wins, or I don't hit anything. Choke up when it counts, misuse my cooldowns, and feed, hard throwing. It feels like a 50-50 at this point. How can I either bridge this extreme gap, make at least when I'm not carrying it, at least playing distantly? Focus on like doing your job, because like let's think about what you're describing here. Hitting your shots, can you control that? No. Die less, can you directly control that? No. You can position yourself smarter, you can feed less, but you might still unluckily die to stuff. Win one, blink properly. Like, is that something that you can like decide on in the moment or just control? Not really. A little bit more, but not really. Win 1vx's / hard carrying, can you control how many times that you guys 1vx in a game? No. Right, don't hit anything. Choke up when it counts. Can't control that. Choke when it counts. Can you directly control that? No. Misuse your cooldowns? Maybe. And feed? No. None of this matters. None of this matters. Hitting all your shots, I don't care about any of that. And the fact that you care about that is like absolutely brain dead. I know that's harsh, but it's brain dead. Stop caring about that. Stop focusing on this. You don't wake up in the morning and say, "I'm sad. I'm fat. I suck." Like, no, you can't. That doesn't fix anything. Or I'm stupid. Right? Or I don't know how to do this. if you're playing poorly, get good. And you do not get good by simply wailing on the violin about how that you're inconsistent. Go get consistent. Play the game consistently. Focus on something else. Don't worry about playing good as Tracer. Focus on doing what things you need to be doing to be playing good as Tracer. Hitting your shots does not make you a good Tracer. Positioning properly makes you a good Tracer. Timing properly makes you a good Tracer. Using your pulse bombs properly, in other words, I'm gonna make sure that I'm sticking tanks or looking for sticks at the right time, and making sure the fight's not lost, makes you a good Tracer. Saving blinks for when the fight actually starts, not wasting blinks before the fight starts, makes you a good Tracer. Target priority makes you a good Tracer, right? Fix these. Stop worrying about winning 1vx's. Get out of there with that your Overwatch, game leap, feel good bullcrap. Die less. It's just horse manure. So you're inconsistent. Congratulations. Everybody in the entire universe, out of any support of anything competitive, is inconsistent. Congratulations. You're inconsistent with other heroes, but none of them are extremists when you're playing Tracer. Well, maybe when you're playing other heroes, you're not thinking about hitting your shots, dying less, winning 1vx's. Maybe you're just thinking about, oh, I'm just gonna stay here and shoot stuff and something will happen. You're overthinking things. Play the hero. Think about what you're trying to do as a hero. How do I play this hero? And just see what happens. Look at a pro Tracer, be like, okay, that's how they play. I'm gonna try and play like that and see what happens. Stop overthinking this. Stop overthinking this. Spamming cheers love makes you a better Tracer. Yeah. This is how can I either bridge the streamer or make it at least so when I'm not carrying, I'm at least playing distantly and not throwing. Stop carrying and throwing. Just play better. Play better. This question tilts me. Not because there's anything wrong with this person, just because this is such a common issue with players. They get all up in their head. Just play the game. Play the game. Play the game, get better, and don't worry about it. When you start stressing and it just goes down the toilet. Can you define APM and how you can improve on it? APM is just actions per minute. Actions per minute. In other words, when I talk about APM, you're probably referring to when I talked about Mercy. It's basically like not tunneling and focusing on what you need to be doing in every given moment. Who should I be damage boosting? Who should I be healing? Should I be healing or damage boosting here? Where should I be positioning here? Who is in the middle of an engagement and needs a Mercy pocket right now? So as APM, don't worry about getting your APM up. APM goes up as a result of you improving as a player. In other words, instead of focusing on improving your APM, instead focus on pocketing the person who's dueling the enemy team. And then by doing that, your APM will accidentally go up, right? Because you'll start focusing on who you need to be pocketing and you'll position yourself better. So don't worry about directly improving your APM. Worry about doing the right thing at the right time. And then all of a sudden, you'll start improving your APM. The reason I harp on APM with Mercy is because Mercies get lazy sometimes. Mercies get lazy and they start tunneling and they just kind of sit there and chill and hold mouse 1. And that's no good. What would you say the role of captain should be in a team? To keep players focused, to motivate them as best as you can, to encourage them when things are going poorly. Don't take too much responsibility. Don't be like, I have to handle everything and do everything by myself. But a captain should be the one that's encouraging teammates not to get tilted, to keep them focused, to keep them motivated. When they're getting distracted and goofy, to bring them back in again. Again, you don't have the responsibility of doing it single-handedly, but to at least to start the process. Guys, come on. We're being distracted and unfocused. Let's go. Let's focus up. That's what you should be aiming to. Be the guy when everything else is kind of scuffed up and messy, that you're at least trying to keep everybody focused up. How do you calm down conflict between players and a player in the enemy team if they're salty about losing? Between players is reminding them that they're mutually only going to reach their goals and improve if they work together. Sometimes there's no magical thing that you're just going to step in and all of a sudden players are all of a sudden oh, brilliant, everything's happy now, thank you so much, major, we're all happy now, everybody's calm and chill, everything is doing fine, no big issues. That's not going to instantly immediately happen, but you can be hey, encourage them to be respectful to each other. So if they have an issue, that they state it respectfully, because otherwise, like, it's not constructive. And if it's not constructive, then there's no place for it. Like, if it's not constructive, there's no place for it at all. Like, if you're not going to be constructive, you're shut down. You're done. You can talk with me about it and flame, but you're not flaming. That's unacceptable. And hold yourself to that same standard. And then players in the enemy team, if they're salty about losing, it's like, why waste your time? Like, what? Like that you're not going to improve. There's nothing that's benefited from that. Just take a chill pill. Like, but the big thing is, like, the respect is that, like, it's not just about, oh, that's how we do things. You can even phrase it just like, this is not beneficial to you. Like, we as human beings should be not concerned about, like, oh, it's only me. But even if it is all about you, even if that's just how you look at things because you're a turd, then ultimately you're like, conflict isn't helpful for you as an individual, because if you want what you want, which is to win, if your teammate doesn't like you, you're not going to win. So you might as well make the best of the situation and figure out a way to solve it smoothly, because it's not in your best interests for this conflict to exist. Now, conflict happens regardless of what happens, but you need to smooth it out. You need to smooth it out. Risky, but I find blaming yourself helps a lot. For sure. Be like, hey, you know, like, I didn't do a great job. Like, I could have sorted this out earlier. Like, you know, what can I do to help here? Like, what can I do to fix this situation? Take some responsibility on yourself. Sure. When I play Ana, how do I know my position, if my positioning is good or bad, and where the better position is? Corner, cover, and then think about the situation and be like, how close should I be? Where the better position is, there's no shortcuts to it. You have corner, you have cover, and then if you're like, is there a better position? Go try it. Think about it. Go get into a custom game with Ana with 50% or 150% movement speed and run around the different spots of the map and think about, okay, could I play here? Could I play here? Could I play here? And then go out and try it in an actual map. Like, when I VOD review my Ana game, I can see where I mess up my abilities, but it's hard to tell if I mess up my position because you're not thinking about it. If you don't know whether your positioning is better or not, it's because you haven't practiced it. You can't just simply go, oh, my positioning is bad here. My ability to tell bad versus good positioning took a lot of practice. So you're not going to be able to tell if your positioning is good or bad without a lot of practice. And that practice is going to look like you going to a custom game, trying different positions, and seeing if they work. Your practice is going to be, oh, I died here. Did I have to die here? Could I have been positioned elsewhere where I could have died here? Every single team fight in a replay, could I have positioned elsewhere that would have been better? Even if you don't die, could I have positioned somewhere else that would have gotten me more value done? There's no shortcuts here. Do you want to be closer in Brawl versus Dive? Maybe. It depends. But, like, there's no shortcuts here, chat. There's no shortcuts. Practice. When I was getting better at Zen, I was like Diamond. I tell the story all the time. I didn't know how to position an Ilios. So I looked up Ilios positioning. I couldn't find anything. So I went into Ilios in a custom game and I tried a different bunch of positions. And next time I got Ilios, I tried them out. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. I went over it like in a VOD afterwards, before Replay Viewer even existed, and made some adjustments. But you have to try, man. You have to try. There's no shortcuts, guys. Doesn't that apply to others as well? Yes. Say you bought a 40-minute VOD review and I'm sub. If I PayPal an extra $2, can I do the 10-minute Q&A? Yeah, of course. Sure. If you do an extra $2, like, I don't care, man. If you really want to do the Q&A, like, I'm not running, you know, I'm not running a business here exactly. At least not yet. Like, I just want to help people. I just want to help people out, you know, and have a good time doing it. So if you really want a 2-minute Q&A, we'll figure this out. Like, maybe we'll just skip the $2 for now and just do the 10. Until we get to the point where people are going to start exploiting me, you know, and trying to, like, take more of my time and cheat me, and we haven't reached that point, then I don't mind helping out. Did you know that when you just tap Echo's Flight with hold for flight, you go higher than if you use toggle for flight? When you just tap... Okay, we have to check this, chat. I don't understand this. So I had him message, or her message me this, and I haven't had a chance to test this. Let me try this really quick. Okay, so can we explain what this means? You just tap use Echo's flight ability with hold. I don't know what this means. I do not understand.
Personality synchronization 100%. Good to be back.
Hold for flight is off. Okay. I mean, that makes sense. Like, I toggle in most. When you hold space and you press shift, you get. Okay, explain to me, chat. You have to explain to me what I'm trying to do here.
Taking off.
Start and cancel really fast. So, like that? Is that what I'm trying to do? I hold space and I tap shift. That's pretty high. I don't see any major difference. It's the same height for me. I didn't? Let's actually try it then. Oh no. Ah, I hit my thing in the moving platform. Hey, half grip. Yeah, we just did yours a little bit ago.
Lifting off.
Whoops, I messed up. Try that again. I love that there's just still music going on in the background. So it's like there-ish. Like, it's gonna be really hard for me to judge here, like, accurately. Because I don't really have an accurate way of measuring. Seems about the same height to me. I mean, I appreciate the toggle flight adjustment. I didn't even realize that was a setting. So that's a plus for me, but it seems to be about the same height. So maybe it's not, but it's ridiculously slight. Okay, thanks. You're welcome. Holy cow. Okay, well, I guess that's interesting. Maybe you're crazy. I don't know. Let me read the question again. Do you know that when you just tap use Echo's flight ability with hold for flight, you go higher than if you use toggle for flight? I don't know, chat. I'm not seeing it. I do appreciate that the hold for flight button is like, that's helpful, but doesn't seem to be super major to me. But maybe that's just me. Okay. But I didn't know. I didn't even realize that was a setting. Okay. How should Sim Wall be used in a Ryan Diva Sim Creep Bap and Lucy comp against the Ball to Sorry comp, and how to use it against a Brawl Rush comp? Just split the map. 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 Always. The answer is always split the map with Sim Wall against any composition in any point in time. You split the map right where your team is taking the fight. That's it. It could be diving you, and you split the map right where they dive you. It could be they could split the map against BAP window. It doesn't matter. Using Sim Wall this way to block a BAP window is really not worth it, in my opinion. It's not the best use of it, in my opinion. You always split the map. Almost never will you ever use it for any other circumstance. Almost ever. Sometimes if you're going like Hanamura second, you're TPing the point, you can wall yourself into the back corner of point, but that's like very, very rare situation. When I have grav, let's say we don't have a combo and they don't have transbeat, and the enemy team are spreading out, it's hard to get a big grav. Is it worth the solo grav to uncontested creep? Ha, that sounds familiar. Yes, it's totally worth it to grab a solo angle.
Also bet cat on for me and give her kisses and loves for me.
All right, I don't know where she is, but if I see her, I'll get her on. Thank you, Neo. Almost 3 years. Huh?
You for Amari?
Yeah.
I can get her.
All right, we're gonna get Amari then. Tips for getting into tier 2 and not getting good enough to be there as a main support.
She's coming.
Uh oh, here comes Amari.
Girl. Come here.
Kitty.
Hey.
Can you see her? Yeah, you can. Hi. Hi.
She looks very disappointed.
There you go.
What were you doing up there?
Good girl. What are you doing? Okay, there you go. Do you have any tips for getting into tier 2? Reach out to teams, ask for trials. Reach out and ask for trials.
Good girl.
So I'm not sure what rank you are, but like I'm assuming you're like tier 3 already. So reach out and ask for trials, and then ask for feedback from those trials. And then honestly, you need to be 4.6 most of the time. Like 4.5 is bare minimum, but you need to be 4.6. And if you can't get to 4.6, then you need to work on your grind. You need to be doing self-VOD review. You need to ask for help from other coaches for like reviewing your feed, reviewing your gameplay. But like this needs to happen. 4.6 is like, you need to have at least peak 4.6, and you need to be getting good to that point. For main support in particular, I know shot calling, not shot calling, consistent and efficient ult tracking is really helpful. Be very, very fast and efficient with your ult tracking. No wasted time, no laziness. Quick, straight to the point, very clear audio, like deliver it. Doesn't even have to be 100% accurate, but like it has to be delivered very quickly and efficiently. And then you can help out with planning. Like if I have window, if you have beat, if you have rally, take responsibility for how you want to be using those ultimates. Even if it's just to counter something, don't sit there and be a beta. Like having people that talk and take leadership is such a big thing that impresses me in tier 2. Tier 2 and tier 3. Tier 3 is like top open division. Tier 2 is just contenders. That's just basically it.
Check out these shorts.
They're not like nice shorts. They're not like super like specific.
Dude, these are sick.
What do you think of the Young and Beautiful roster? What are your thoughts on next season of contenders? Let me look at the Young and Beautiful roster really fast. So, good Ryan, questionable hero pool. Good, questionable hero pool. He's a fine player. I don't know much about him. These guys are kind of old school, so I don't know much about them either. So it's an old roster.
Hi.
That has a potential to have like a really high peak, but also this roster could be really bad. This roster is like really could be really good or it could be really bad. I don't think there's going to be a lot. There might be it could also be. I'm like, this is a really volatile roster because you've got a lot of experienced players, which is good. But you've got a lot of players that might not be as motivated after years of playing, so they might not be as motivated to grind. And also there's some question marks on hero pools around these guys. Like there's not a real strong tracer player here. There's not like Ben Best is not exactly known for a strong monkey, and I don't know much about Cruise and Boombox hero pool, so I won't even comment on that. Let's look at staff. Do they have a staff at all? Bye. I love you. Be safe.
Love you too.
They have Le Renegade. I don't know much about him. He was with that person. Huh?
You coaching anyone I know today?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure he's fine coach, but like I don't know. Could be good. Could be pretty mediocre at the same time. Could be really mediocre. I love you.
Love you.
But they could also be really good as well. Because but it's honestly, who knows. So really hit or miss roster, to be honest. Could be really good, really bad. Thoughts on next season contenders? I don't have a lot of thoughts. I'm not super involved. There's a couple of teams that reached out to me and asked for help in Europe, especially. But I'm not really involved in next season of contenders, so I don't have a lot of thoughts. I hope they keep the same tournament format in terms of like the trial with like you play like 5 games in trials and whoever wins. Like I think that was like really good. It really felt like the best players, the best teams always did well. There was like a lot less RNG, like random luck, the last half of the season, which was nice. What would you tell someone? Okay. Thoughts next season contenders? I'm concerned about NA. Let's put it that way. I think NA is super trash. I think NA is legit dumpster tier. To be honest, it might be the weakest that NA contenders has ever been, like ever. Probably, yeah, definitely ever. Like you look at the rosters season 1 last year, and even to a lesser extent season 2, like NA was like stacked. Like look at NA trials. Like what? Look at this. I'm gonna take another second. Let me see if I can find it. Tournaments. Here, let me just find the trials. One second. Like, this is when Uprising Academy was a complete train wreck, but you've got Triumph, Hydron, Samito, Milky Man, Chow, Awkward, Cronus, Fragon, stacked. Square One, Shockwave, Senny, Dino, Angelic, Gizmo, fairly stacked. Montreal, Mangachu, Leaf, Tanner, Shane, Shu, Dreedra, Wrath, stacked. Noble was Ultimo Wep, Brooks, Panker, Infernal, Pizza Demon, Lori from Boston, less stacked but still good. Third Impact, Taio's, like, I mean, everyone knows they were good. Ascent, you had Sam, who's really good. Salt Shaker, Blood, even this team wasn't trash. Revival was Aspire, Razor, Fact Fiction, Calman, Doggo, Espen, Far, Boostio, False, like Crackalack and Exodia, suppose Juby, who's in Overwatch League now, A10, Dynasty, Hades, Odd, Lep. Like, legit, every team in here had like a relatively decent roster, and this was trials. This wasn't even contenders. If you go to contenders, you got Ad Doge's roster, you had Second Wind's roster, you had Kirisuno's roster. My cat just knocked something over. Saints roster, like, and you compare that to trials and contenders now in NA is just a hot dumpster fire. Like, it's not good. Like, you can see it too because all the good European players that were playing in NA are now back in EU. They're all back in EU because the NA is just a dead region. Like, not a single player from North American contenders that comes to mind made it to Overwatch League this season. Not a single player. I think Juby was technically collegiate, right? Yeah, but NA is complete washed. Revival looks okay-ish. But yeah, there's just a lot of like really washed players in there as well. So there's just like a lot of like really mediocre low ranked players in trials right now. But yeah, I think NA is a dead region, to be honest. I think American Tornado is gonna smoke everybody. I think that's just gonna be it. American Tornado is just, if American Tornado loses a single game this season, I'm gonna be shocked. Like, there's just nobody out. There's no other good team out there. Yeah. I mean, that might change, but right now, NA contenders is a dumpster fire. Do you have any, would you tell somebody who's struggling to find a role to focus on? Just what you have fun playing. Because if you're going to ultimately improve, you're going to have to put a lot of time into it. And if you put a lot of time into something that you don't love, then you're not going to grind. So you're not going to get dark mode is solid. Yeah, dark mode is solid. But like, we're talking about like 2 or 3 teams, one really good team, a couple dark mode is solid, yeah. Dark mode's solid, but then everything else is just like kind of a mess. Do you have any tips for growing a stream community or just getting more views? Reps, man. Find what your niche is and rep it out, dude. Like, rep it out. Like, find what you're doing and do it well and ask for feedback. But honestly, I'm not the person to ask it because I'm not good enough to this to like we've done well, but we're far from like, I'm not exactly the person to ask. Holy cow, there's a lot of questions here. Do you like your chances of making NA contenders? I mean, I don't like you, but I like your chances of making NA contenders, sure. The other thing about the NA contenders as well is there's like no coaches right now. Like, so many coaches have retired or quit, and like there's no good coaches. Skip yours? Really? Why? Oh, you want me to wait? Okay. As a main tank and a shot caller, what can you do against long range spam comps when your DPS having a hard time contesting? Rotate after them and rotate and take away the space. So like we talked about this is like with Reinhardt, where you can like clear high grounds. So like you rotate, clear out the high ground, the flank where they're having an issue, and they send them back this way. But yeah, like that's the big one. Is just rotate away in locations where the long sightlines aren't as good, or rotate in a way. Like the best way to beat long range spam comps is like a Reinhardt or whatever, or like a shorter range tank, is just like rotating towards them. Don't just directly run down main, like rotate around. Watch my Reinhardt VOD reviews if you want to know how to do that. When does Sombra a good pick and what makes her good? Is she good against bunker? When Sombra is good against short range heroes, because nobody has enough poke to be able to force her out. So if you're playing against a comp with a lot of short range heroes, and or there's like you have time to like farm up a lot of EMP. Like the other night we were playing like some quick play, and I was playing Sombra, and the Indian team was like Winston, Diva, Genji, like Reaper, and I just went Sombra, and I just would play like 20 meters away and just hold an off angle and just spam. They would dive me. I'd get out, I'd go back in again, and then if they ignore me, I'd hack them, and it was just legit. I could just AFK spam. And Sombra gets a lot. Sombra's like a weird hero where she's like, you can dive with her, and she's okay, but in a lot of ways Tracer's better because she does more damage. But at the same time, you don't want to like play long range spam with Sombra. So like when Sombra's a good pick when there's when either A, you can just kind of like AFK and farm your EMP and put pressure, or when you can stage backline against really squishies. Good against bunker. She's not bad against bunker, but you need hard dive to go with you. In other words, you need like everybody diving in really, really aggressively. Otherwise, you get your translocated force way too fast. Hypothetically speaking, if I were to make a Mei guy, would be tough to include. Positioning, probably. Like don't always stack with your main tank. You can split off a little bit. Like it's really important to be hitting your right clicks with Mei. Freeze is like unironically one of the weakest or like least important aspects of Mei a lot of the time. At least right now. I don't know. I haven't done a Mei review recently enough to be able to think. Don't get greedy with your Mei ult, I would say for sure. Like just if you get a Blizzard for one or two people, that's good enough. Like you don't need to be killing the entire enemy team with a Mei ult. Like people yeet these Mei ults and it's not worth. Just get some value out of Mei ult and that's good enough. Don't stack always with your Ryan. Try and take splits or whatever, or with your comp, like to utilize your poke. And then obviously everybody knows, but use your ice block to block cooldowns, not just to not just to regenerate HP. Is there a way to train inconsistency? The reason for inconsistency is human nature, and the way to mitigate it is by training aim consistently. Train your aim consistently, and you won't have aim inconsistency, or have less of it. And then obviously like look at your IRL training situation as well. How's stream going? It's going okay. Going pretty good. Having a good time. Wall your mail. I mean, it can work, sure. Is learning Tracer in gold? I mean, you're going to have to learn Tracer at some point, so you might as well start now. Like, waiting to a higher rank to learn a hero just so you can drop 300 SR because you're now learning a harder hero makes no sense whatsoever. Start now. I don't care what rank you are. I don't care if you're bronze. Start now. Anybody who tells you that you should be playing other heroes in lower ranks needs to get their head examined. In a Ryan Zarya mirror matchup, is there anything I can do again edge of the enemy Zarya? Thinking King Sorrel, you can really do shoot shields. What should you do? Take small splits. So don't stand directly behind Ryan Shield as Zarya. You want to take small splits and look to, like, if their Reinhardt's hiding behind a cover, you can like right click spam and get better energy that way. Also, the biggest way to get an advantage is to specifically ask for charge between fights. Between fights, don't just bubble your Ryan randomly. Say, Ryan, I want to take some damage for me, and then like go get charged. Like you should be entering fights at like 10 to 15 charge higher than the enemies are, just because you're hustling with your communication. Why don't you play Sigma instead of Diva in defense if you spawn cap? Because Diva has way more eat than Sigma. Sigma has an eat and then he's done for like what, 9 or 10 seconds? Diva constantly has to be looking out the back door for Pharah spam. And then once you then retake, you don't want to slow immobile hero like Sigma against a composition that has Sombra, Monkey, and Pharah. Like what is Sigma going to do that? Is he going to eat Pharah rockets? Is he going to block out Pharah rockets? No, he's not. Maybe a little bit, but Diva's way better at that. Diva's going to be able to interrupt, hack. Diva's going to be able to peel off a Monkey, put more pressure on a Monkey, and he's not going to instantly die to a dive, right? So Diva is as good against Pharah, is way better against Pharah, than Sigma. And also she has the capability to survive dive a lot better than Sigma. Sigma's not good against dive. You mentioned before that you got coaching from IR6 back in the day. Out of curiosity, what did he tell you? I mean, the thing that he told me, the big thing that was IR6 was really good at was just basically like, this was in the early days of like Overwatch educational content, and people weren't as like, they were like Elo Hell was like a lot more of like a common thing that got used a lot. Like nowadays we're a little smarter and we all know that, oh yeah, Elo Hell, it's not real, you know, or it's like more mental than it is anything else. Back then there were a lot more people that like were just inexperienced and stupid, and so they thought that there was like an actual system thing, and he was just like, you suck, get good at the game, position, stop throwing with your positioning. And that was a big thing at the time. Like he was the first person who said like, you don't have to join voice chat if you don't want to, and people thought he was like on crack, you know what I'm saying? So yeah. All right, Baggins. I'm gonna try and answer this question, but I just finished reading Peak and they talk about mental representations. If you can, what kind of mental representation? Mental reps, my understanding is a way you look at something with a broader image rather than having to worry about minor details. One example given in the book is when memorizing a long string and Mars in the circle would have a mental representation that related to data runtime. They didn't look at the board with the individual pieces, but I saw patterns from it. I mean, so when it comes to coaching, I don't really know if this is exact. I remember what you're talking about now, but like the one thing that I would say with coaching that really helped me was don't overcomplicate things. Like if you're losing team fights, you're losing team fights because your positioning, your timing, or your planning is wrong. That's it. It doesn't matter what rank you are. It doesn't matter what composition you're playing. It doesn't matter anything. Again, this is given team circumstances. If you're losing a team fight, it's always due to timing, positioning, or a bad plan. That's it. Every single time. Like 99.9% of the time. And so for me as a coach, that was like my mental rep. That was like that was like the broad big picture that I always looked at over and over and over again whenever I review. If you've seen any of my team reviews that I've done with Rutgers or UCM or Missouri or Michigan, excuse me, or the Platt teams, it's just the same thing. You know what this is? Hey, AJ, thanks for the raid, mate. Again. I appreciate the raid, brother. Thank you so much. And I literally just say, if we're not fighting as 6, why? That's a problem, right? If we're not fighting as 6, why? If we're not taking angles, why? What's wrong? What happened? That needs to be fixed. That's the issue. If we don't have a plan, if we don't ult track properly, and we don't have an actual ult plan of either us going first or us, you know, countering their ult plan, why? So like a lot of coaches get like all up in their head about like trying to like nitpick the micro and the meta. It just doesn't matter, man. It just doesn't matter. Like some of that stuff in regards to positioning is key. And timing in terms of like, okay, does our Sombra go first or does our Winston go first? But like just keep it really basic, over and over and over again. Set high standards for what a fight should look like. Everybody's doing something together and we have a good plan and we're positioned properly. And if it's not there, fix that. Nitpicking is safe for solo VOD review, right? Yeah, I mean, yes, but honestly, even when I did solo VOD review, there was very little nitpicking. Like, very little nitpicking. Like, you guys see how I do VOD reviews on this stream. How many times do I talk about reload management? Or how to use nade against a Winston Diva Sombra Doomfist dive? Or how, using Fire Strike to bait Zarya bubbles. Like that kind of stuff I very, very rarely talk about. Regardless of the rank. It's almost always big picture stuff. Almost always. Yes, Alaquan. You do if it's high level? Correct. But even then, I'm more talking about like what your role is in the composition and doing it better. Very rarely. And this is not just for VOD reviews for low ranks, like I said. When I spend a lot of time doing one-on-ones with, because I worked a lot with Lucer, with Alex, obviously, it was always very basic stuff. Like what is the timing of your positioning here? Like, are you positioned properly here? Are you timing your flanks properly? Are you communicating them better? It's just so like, just don't get sucked into it. Like so many people get sucked into the complicated stuff and it just doesn't matter. So the mental rep for me is I have a broad picture of a perfect team fight that I always envision where everybody's doing stuff as 6, that we're positioned properly and we have a good plan. And if that's not happening, I need to find out why. Does that kind of answer your question, Baggins? I'm honestly not very confident I nailed it properly because I'm not, it's been too long since I've read that book. and I read that book before the psychological trauma of Uprising Academy, so I don't remember as much as I'd have liked. I don't have any questions at the moment, so hi. That is an awful hi. Hi, there you go. How do some of the best main supports you've worked with coordinate their teams and players? They don't micromanage, but they nailed the basics really good. Like we talked about, like the really basic ult tracking. The thing that I always bring up that I taught Refid how to do, and which was really important, which is like, what do we do? He'd ult track, take him 10 seconds, if even that, and he'd say, all right, what do we do? What do we do? There's never an excuse for not having a game plan when somebody's asking, what do we do? You can't forget when somebody's asking you, what are we going to do? And then coordinating teams of players, it just depends on the main support. Like most main supports I worked with have not been like, you know, super shot caller leader guys. I got the opportunity, like I know people like Neptuno are, and so that fits their style more. But if it fits your style, like even with Neptuno, it was more like Neptuno does a better job of like microing positioning of himself and his backline, but he doesn't really micro tanks and stuff. So he'll be like, you know, hey Zen, come with me, like let's rotate this way, this will be safe for you, right? But again, that's Neptuno, and that's just what he's good at. But also he doesn't even in his instance where he's one of the most micro oriented, you know, main supports at the Overwatch League level in terms of like leadership, even then he doesn't micromanage more than like a couple players, and it's usually in specific metas. As a second question, what are their comms to minimize cluttering but to convey important information towards the fight? Again, just what do we do? Basic scouting, and that's it. And the only reason you scout is so you know where enemies are, so you know when to activate your plan. Scouting, if you're not doing anything about the information from scouting, then it's worthless. It's like the sun is okay. Like if I were to walk outside and say it's a sunny day today, that only matters if we're going to be going outside and doing something out in the sun. If I'm sitting inside all day, I don't care if it's sunny, overcast, thunderstorm, or hurricane. I don't give a rip. Like I'm exaggerating, but you guys get the point. So don't scout just to scout. Scout to have a plan. So like that's how you minimize clutter. Like our plan is we're going to engage with beat. Nothing matters about when and where we're engaging with beat. That's the only thing that matters. We don't give a rip about, you know, Ana use sleep dart. At least, I mean, that stuff is okay, but like it's got to be big picture stuff. Okay. Any tips for keeping concentration level up? Take a few minutes, stand up, walk around, refocus on your goals. Tell yourself like what you need to be working on. Like make yourself get up, walk around. Okay, I need to work on this. I need to work on this. Okay, I need to get better at this. And then take a break. Take a short break if you need to. I'm not an expert when it comes to this, though, to be honest. Get up, refocus yourself, think about what you need to work on, write it down again, get some water, go back into the game, and do it all over again. How can you ask your teammate to switch off a troll pick without getting toxic in you? I mean, ask your teammate, hey, what do we need to do to make this pick work? What do we need to do to make this pick work? Ask them that. And they'll be like, oh, I don't know, I'm just trolling. And be like, well, can we get an actual like non-troll pick, right? Or they're gonna have to ask you, like they're gonna have to tell you what they need from you, and then you know that's gonna imply some sort of synergy there, or you know you'll figure out a way to make it work. You know, if they're not in voice or you're not in voice, then honestly don't worry about them. Just play better yourself, find a way to make it work, and don't worry about it. Again, troll pick is such a subjective term because everybody knows Bastion's a troll pick, right? But some people think that Symmetra's a troll pick, or Torb's a troll pick, or Moira's a troll pick, or oh, you can't play Zen, and or you know, Ball is bad, and like everybody gets these ideas of like what's a troll pick, and so I don't even like trying to define what troll pick is. Before I forget, between Tracer, Genji, Ash, Reaper, whose gold weapon should I get for my first gold weapon? I mean, who's your favorite hero? I'm always gonna say Genji, but like, who's your favorite hero? I can tell you Genji looks pretty sick with gold weapons, but I don't know. If you have Ash's posh skin, you should get her gold gun so you can be tacky as possible. Our best DPS are Pharah, Echo, Hanzo, Kree, Ash, Tracer. How do we counter a well-practiced double roll without mirroring their tank comp? Probably Echo or Ash or Tracer, because those are all heroes that have some mobility, so they don't just instantly dive to getting don't just instantly die to get when they get dove. They have mobility and they have decent poke as well. So Hanzo Kree struggles a little more if they're executing their double bubble dives really well, because he can't flash through bubble and he can die. But if they're sloppy with it, obviously Kree would be good. Hanzo, not so much. Hanzo's definitely a lot squishier. But these heroes all have like decent poke damage and have mobility, so they're harder to dive, and so you can screw up their staging. Also Soldier. You guys are awful. I mean, Bastion's a troll pick, but if you play him around really well, he can still work. Like, there's still Bastion games in GM occasionally. So I'm not trying to humiliate you if you've lost to a Bastion. We've all lost to plenty of Bastions, so don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. It happens. Okay. If any last questions, if you guys, you don't have to put them in Discord here. Do you predict cooldowns on Rhine when swinging, or try and react to them? Prediction is definitely part of it. But reaction is also part of it as well. And the thing I always say when it comes to reaction time is what makes reaction time better is anticipation. In other words, you are playing into an enemy Ana. You anticipate them going for sleeps, nades, things like that, and so it makes it easier for you to block them. So the reaction, it's never a true reaction. Very rarely in Overwatch do you have true reactions. It should always be your goal to anticipate them going for it, so you have an easier time countering it. That's my general guidelines, but at the same time, prediction is part of that as well. So like you can, it's kind of like with Shatter, right? There's a little mixture of, okay, I'm anticipating Shatter, so I need to react, but occasionally I'll just throw in a shield in there. Does that make sense? Like, you need to anticipate them doing it so that it gives you time to properly react. Otherwise, it's going to be hard. Yes, thank you. How do I continue? It's the same thing with, like, by the way, that's not just Reinhardt. That's like across the board chat. Like, the example I always say is like playing Zen into Sombra. Don't react to her like coming out of stealth. Anticipate it. Anticipate her shooting you. Be ready at any point in time. Like, devote like a brain cell to instantly turning around and blowing her head off. Like, just a quarter of a second faster reaction, and then you're all set. Okay. How do I continue to improve if the time I can play with Overwatch is limited? Just be efficient. If you really want to improve, be very efficient with what you're doing. Like, ranked, try hard, tight hero pool, focus really hard, have very set goals, do a self-auto review once or twice a week that's like very, very quick and short and to the point. It's just to be efficient. Like, and I shouldn't have to tell you to do that. Like, you should think about like, how can I improve my efficiency? Like, every single time you play, how can I improve my efficiency? How can I improve my efficiency? Could I have played a little tighter there? Could I have played a little cleaner here? That's the goal. Like, it's just efficiency. It's the same thing like when people ask me like, how can I get better if I can only work out like 20 minutes a day? Well, quick warm up, do some, several moves that like hit all the, the body parts that you need to be hitting, and then, you go on. But no wasted time. The most important thing you can focus on is, trying to think if there's any little trick or tip here. Make sure that you're utilizing your queue time, that you're not wasting your queue time. That's a big one. Like, utilize your queue time for either warm up with deathmatch or like aim training with deathmatch, or self VOD review from the previous replay viewer. That's one way to min max for sure. Is there a way I can manage this like you said we were saying with the VOD review before? From a main support, double bubble as a main support perspective, there's a little bit too much complexity there depending on your hero. Like, I think as Brig, it's like you avoid getting dove. As Mercy, you prioritize pocketing your DPS to put pressure the dive comp before they dive, and then prioritize pocketing whoever does get dove. As Lucio, like rotating or speeding out or amping speed once they do dive to like avoid some of the pressure. I mean, those are the three main support rules, right? But that there's a lot of details there. Like, I'd have to know what main support hero you think. You think Pharah will ever be viable in any map besides Lijiang? I mean, maybe, yeah. Maybe. I mean, I think Pharah is relatively viable. She just takes like a lot of mechanical skill to be viable, is basically. As a follow-up, what tanks do we run along mobile heroes to counter double bubble? Well, if you're playing a pokier style DPS with like Ash Tracers and Echoes, Ball's pretty good. You get like, we just saw in Pro meta, what teams were running a lot where you go like Ball, Brig, Zen, or Ball on a Brig, and you'd run it with like Ball Zarya or something like that, or like Ball Diva or something. So you can peel off the dive, but you can out spam them at the same time, right? Because if you're running like Diva on a Brig, you can spam them out, but you also can survive the dive at the same time. Playing ranked is like #1? Oh yeah, absolutely. Hey, thank you, Marquise. DMCA? I hope not. It's non-copyright. It says non-copyright. Can you talk about how to use speed properly in rush comps? Yes. When you're engaging, you are speeding. When they are engaging, you are speeding. That way you can either kite their engage, or you can enable your own engage. Like, it's not super complicated. You're either engaging, like, you're just basically always on speed when cooldowns are being traded, so that you guys can either kite their cooldowns or get full advantage out of yours. What is the target focus in Rush Mirror? I mean, everybody focuses Rhine because he's the easiest target to shoot down, but usually you have your McCree or Diva split, and your McCree and Diva are split focusing backline. And again, that could be BAP, could be their Kree, could be their Diva that's off-angled. It doesn't really matter. You're focusing on, when you're playing a Rush Mirror, you're not focusing a specific target always, so much as that you're trying to synchronize your pressure at the same time and seeing if that leads to a pick or space or whatever.